I'm Wooly Moss, this is Copper Cactus, and today we are going to make this, a wooden pennant. We're going to use the xTool laser. It's a P3, it's a beautiful machine, it does beautiful work, and it makes life easy for us makers. This project is going to go so fast. However long this video is way longer than it took to actually make the thing. I've got the file, the materials, the laser, everything, all the tools, everything's linked down below. So let's get started. Let's hop into xTool Studio and we'll show you how this works. All right, now we're here in xTool Studio. If we zoom out a little bit, then you'll see the whole P3 here. This is the size we have to work with. So when you download the file, you're going to see three things in here. You're going to see the pennant itself. You're going to see the piece that goes on the back here over the holes. It's kind of like a reinforcement on like a real pennant. And then you're going to see the text here. Now this text it says my name right now, but you can change this to say anything you want here. So, all right, so we're going to say Oli for now. That's my name, and we're going to make this pennant like that. There you go. Then you can do that. But you see here, each letter this will cut into that other letter, and we don't want the letters to cut out each other letter where they overlap there. So we want to address that. We want to grab all of these and come up here to your combine tools and then do union or shift option U. So you do that, union, and it kind of gives you a little preview. And then when you click it, you see now it's one piece here. So O-L-I-N-E is all one piece. And that's what we want. We want it to fit up there as one piece. And you will, every name is going to be a little bit different or whatever. But you will have to orientate that just a little bit, rotate it, and then squeeze it down so that it fits. And then this is going to fit because everything is going to be to scale there. And you can click one and shift click the other one, and then do your align and align left, and then align center like that. And then that is going to go right there. So when you're looking at this and you're making sure that your name, whatever you choose there, is fitting on there, then you can make sure that everything fits. But we got to pull this apart to cut it because each of these pieces is going to be cut individual. But there you go. You can see that everything fits and it's going to have a nice space around it. So that's all we got to do. Simple, easy, not much real design work to do. But we just want to make sure we pull all those things apart. And then we'll cut those. If yours is all 1/8 inch or all 1/4 inch or whatever, you can cut them all at the same time. Just place them all on there. We're going to go to the laser now and prep the material, and then we'll come back here and place it and do all that stuff. So we have a nice pre-finished, I think this is maple. I don't know my woods all that well, and I'm pretty sure this is cherry. We're going to go with these two pre-finished pieces. The lighter here, this is a 1/4 inch piece, so I think that would be really nice for hanging on the wall. And then the cherry here, I think, is an 1/8 inch thick. And this already has adhesive on the back. We like this dual tight stuff. Like I said, everything's gonna be linked below, so don't worry about that. We'll link all the things that we use in this video below. And then I do just mask the back of this. It doesn't super need it because it is pre-finished. It does wipe off pretty good, but I like to do that anyways, just like an easier, just peel this white masking off and then we're good to go. And then of course the adhesive will have the same effect and then you won't see the back, but all we got to do is cut the letters out and the back little part out of this, and then they just stick on. So we've spent more time talking about it than we are going to be doing it, so let's get after it. Let's start with this piece here. We're just going to pop this in the P3 and get going. So this goes in here like that. xTool sends these little guys, whoops, that's upside down really. So this goes in your little knife blades in there like that. And then you push this lever down and it drops down and you can push it down and this will clamp your wood in there. So if it's warped or whatever, it doesn't move and then it stays flat so you can engrave and cut it, and it holds it from moving around in there, because the last thing you want to do is have the air assist or something move the piece of wood around in there and then it cuts wonky, or it engraves over here and then cuts over there because it shifted in the thing. So that is really nice little hold down for your knife blades. Okay, so we're gonna have it like this and just simply snap it. You'll feel it kind of click, and then you can slide it on that knife blade, and then you can push that down until it is secure. Clip it like that, and then your piece of wood is secure. We'll do a couple more of those around, and then that'll be it. All right, I've pre-selected this already, but we click here on our material list and then go to wood and then plywood, and then drop down here, find 1/4 inch birch plywood, and then hit apply. And then that brings us to birch plywood there. And we have score, engrave, or cut. And what we want to do here is cut everything out. These are the settings that xTool has already figured out that work for this kind of plywood. And so this should work just fine. If you need to modify these settings, you can save them as user-defined settings, and then they'll be found there. Refresh the background first, okay? Now we want to choose where we want to measure it from. And so I'm gonna have this cut it over here. So I just want it to measure right there, and it'll go down autofocus already. The machine is doing that right now as we speak. So quick and easy there. I just want to rotate this so that it fits on my board here. Once we've placed this on our material, the camera helps a lot. You can place it on there and it's fairly accurate. I always leave a little bit of room for error, you know, a little margin of error here, but it should be pretty dang accurate, okay? The next thing we want to do, you can hit preview if you want. This kind of shows it on wood, and it shows us the pieces that are going to cut out, so you can kind of do that quick little preview to make sure that it's going to look right, but it doesn't preview on your exact piece of wood here. So make sure there's no weird things going on, not pieces flying out that you don't think should have, or something like that. Okay, and now we're going to go framing. So it wants us to go to the machine and push the big button, and that's what we're going to do next. Okay, now we're going to frame it. All we're going to do is push this button for framing, and then it's going to go around and frame the piece. So let's do that now. Now that we've framed it and everything looks good to us, we're going to click Framing Complete, and now we can hit Process. We can see up here the estimated time is going to take 1 minute 8 seconds to cut it. Okay, I've closed the lid. Now we're going to hit Start, and that is going to send the data to the laser. And then all we got to do is go to the laser and push the big Start button. Okay, now we're going to hit the big Start button on the machine, and it's going to start cutting out the pennant. And as you heard, the big fume extractor fired up on its own. It's automatically connected to the machine, so it knows when the laser has started cutting, and it starts sucking out the fumes. You can see all the smoke flying out the back there. It does an excellent job. This is not vented to the outside, it's just filtered air, and it comes back into the room, and we breathe it, and it is nice, clean air. Okay, and just like that, it's done, so it lowers the bed. So now you've heard that the air filter has gone down to 0, the fan speed has gone to 0, and it has automatically done all that. So now we'll open up this lid and we'll take a look. Okay, what you heard while it was cutting is this filter over here on the side, this cyclone filter. It's all coming through there, getting pulled through all the filters, and then clean air is coming out the backside. So that's awesome, and it's all super automated, so we never have to even think about it. Easy to clean. Okay, we've popped open the lid. And sometimes I just tap, 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 make sure that it's going to come out easily. And it is going to. So we'll slide our clamps out of the way. And then there was one little teeny tiny spot where it didn't cut out. And that is nobody's fault. That's just real wood for you. So that's what happens sometimes. We got one little tiny piece right there where it didn't cut out perfect. But nothing that a little tiny bit of sandpaper won't handle. Even like rub my finger over it, it's pretty smooth. It was the tiniest little bit right there. And you can see how clean that cut. I mean, there's almost no soot, but we will just wipe this off and we'll be good to go. It cut out the holes there easy. Any soot that's on the top, it's pre-finished wood, so you can just wipe this off. I'll show you that in a second. We'll just wipe it off with water. But we will grab this piece and put it in, and we'll do that next. Okay, the next piece is secured in there. We'll go back to the computer, we will do all the things and we'll be right back. All right, back in xTool software, xTool Studio. We want to just refresh the background, so I've done that already. We click this little button here and it recaptures the background image, and there it is. So we want to grab our text. We're going to bring that up like this into here and make sure that that fits. And you can hold shift and it'll click into 15-degree increments there. And then we're going to change these here. This is not 1/4 inch birch plywood, it is now 1/8 inch. So we're going to go into our wood, into our plywood, and it is 1/8 inch cherry plywood. I'm fairly sure. If not, it'll be really close. So it all cuts kind of the same to me as far as I've noticed. Make sure that it's on cut and everything is pretty much good there. One pass, and then like I said earlier, air assist is at 100%. That's just to keep the flames down. So we'll make sure that that is good to go there. I think that's all gonna fit on there. We're gonna hit process, and that's going to send it to the laser, and then we're gonna go close the lid and hit start and do all those things. All right, just got it all cut out there. You saw that some of our little pieces fell, and that's how you know it's cutting really good all the way through. We can just pick that out of there, drop that back in. This is Oli right there, and look how clean. We're gonna look at that in a little bit up close, I'll show you, but that is so clean and so nice. There's barely anything coming off on my fingers when I rub it, hardly any soot. Look at that, beautiful. So we'll set that off to the side. That's the dot on the eye, so make sure that you don't miss those little pieces. We've pulled our materials out of the laser. Now let's get them cleaned up a little bit. Like we talked about a second ago, there's almost no soot here at all. And I didn't grab a piece of sandpaper, but that is pretty smooth. I can't even feel it. So I think let's peel this off and see if we even need to sand it down, because I don't think we do. But you can see there's a little bit of smoke along the edges here. And on this stuff, I can't even tell that it needs it, but we're just gonna wipe down the edges anyway, just to be safe. All we need here is a little rag. It could be a paper towel, it could be anything, and a little bit of water, just plain old water. And we're just gonna get this moist. You don't have to get it soaked. We don't want it crazy wet. All we're gonna do is just wipe that away. So you can see where I wiped and where I didn't. Just wiping away the smoke. It's that easy. So all we gotta do is wipe this down like that. And then I just make sure I wipe down the edges good. You don't wanna send this to a customer and then they get that on their hands. You know, it's gross. It doesn't really even need it on the back because it was masked, but there's our pennant. So set that off to the side. Okay, for this next step, super easy. We are just going to peel the backer off of the dual tight and place it on there. It could not be more simple. Just want to make sure that the holes do line up good. And I'm basically just using my fingers to feel and make sure that it's perfect and lined up nice. There you go. Everything should be dang near perfect. And then you can just press it and it's on there. You know, sometimes we give it 10 seconds. And then don't forget your dot on your eyes, or you know, if you got any loose pieces like that. But I just want to kind of get an eyeball. I do a test before I've peeled the backer off, and that looks like it is going to be good. So you can peel that backer off. Typically comes off in one piece like that. And then just be careful not to drop it while it's got the glue exposed, adhesive exposed. Something like that. There we go. There, looks nice. Take note of the grain direction on like the eye, you know, it's kind of round but not perfectly round. But you just want it to line up with the grain that's on the rest of the letters there. And then you can flip the whole thing over and give some pressure. Okay, the last thing we need is just a little bit of lace, a little bit of something so your customer can kind of tie it off. You can choose whatever length you want here, 15, 16 inches, something like that will do. I always cut them at like kind of a little pointy angle. And then all you got to do is loop one end through there. This is just some 1/8 inch lace. Like I said, everything's gonna be linked below. And then I just slide that down until it's, you know, even. And then you can just spin those right around each other and tie a simple little knot. In the end, you tie them together, a little knot, and then boom, they can do like that. So now your customer can use this to hang it up on the wall, or they could just nail it, you know, with the nails up there and let these, you know, the lace kind of hang. But if it was a pennant, you know, like a regular felt pennant or whatever, it would have some kind of string or something to hold it up. I have one in the shop that I made out of leather here, and I've just tied these two pieces together and I just hang it from one little nail. Anyway, that's it. We're done. Everything's linked below, including the laser. Check out that P3 from xTool. It's an awesome machine. You can make cool stuff. Simple, easy. I mean, look how great this project looks. And it was easy. It took way longer to talk about it than it did to make it. You could batch these out so fast and easy. Holidays are coming up. This is going to be a hot seller. I'm Willie Moss. This is Copper Cactus. We make handy things for handy people and promote handy tools to makers like you.